Chapter 20. Cutter 2.0. Ryan turned the truck into the alley and saw Natalie pacing with her phone pressed to her ear. As they got closer, he could hear what she was saying. "Did you get the file I sent you?" she demanded into the phone. Ryan stopped the truck and jumped out. Natalie nodded to him and turned away, raising her voice. "I don't need an answer next week. I need it in 5 minutes." She consulted her watch. "Yes, I know what time it is there. It's late. It's late here too. It's probably late everywhere. You can sleep tomorrow, on top of a bed made of $1,000,000 bills. Now, can you do it? Or should I pay someone else a fortune tonight?" Ryan began unstrapping the truck's heavy cargo. For the sake of speed, Madison and Ryan decided to use the same design for the second cutter. Natalie had to pay 4 times the retail price to get the nickel steel panels finished in hours instead of days. "That's what I thought," Natalie said. "Now drink some coffee and get going. Text me when you get it figured out." She shoved the phone in her pocket and turned back to face Ryan. "Are those going to work?" She nodded to the metal panels. "I think so," he said confidently. "We just need to make sure it's watertight when we're done." "And put the hatch at the top this time," said Madison from the open doorway. She had the face mask of her welding helmet rotated up to reveal a smudged and tired face. "The Van de Graaff generator is ready. Any luck on how to make it come back to our world?" "I have people on 2 continents working on it," said Natalie, "but they'll take too long. Daniel and Fate are defenseless with no food or water. You go with this design in 3 hours. "You're coming too, aren't you?" asked Madison, dreading the answer she knew was coming. Natalie chewed her lower lip. "Change in plans. Here's the thing. If this doesn't go well, we need a backup plan. As soon as we get a reasonable idea of how this all works and a way to control it, I'll come and get all of you. Now you two should get some sleep so you're fresh for your trip." "Not tired," Madison lied. "There are cots, blankets, and warm milk in the front office. Go." "I live upstairs, you know," said Madison dryly. "No, I didn't know that," said Natalie through gritted teeth. "You might have mentioned it before I spent $500,000 on 2 musty old army cots and a bottle of milk." Ryan thought he had just closed his eyes when his alarm clock rudely announced that his 3 hours were up. He found the coffee pot by smell alone and poured a cup. As usual, he added an ice cube so he could drink it quickly without waiting for it to cool. He drained the cup, but still felt groggy, and poured a hot refill before joining the others in the workshop. The new cutter looked exactly like the first, except for the hatch at the top. Natalie was making a final inventory and directing a crew of men as they loaded the crates filled with supplies. These were all secured to the interior walls as far away from the generator's silver ball as possible. Ryan noticed that every man in the room was staring at Natalie and grinning. She saw Ryan and greeted him. "Good morning. I hope you slept well. We're almost ready." "Why are they all looking at you like that?" asked Ryan. Natalie looked a little embarrassed. "I'm still untwisted. I get better work out of them this way. Don't worry, I'll do a few spins as soon as you're gone. Right now, I need them focused." Ryan snickered and sipped his coffee. "Any marriage proposals?" "Oh, yes," Natalie said, and began to whisper. "See that one there? He wanted to take me to meet his parents in Oklahoma. That other one offered to kill anyone who had ever been rude to me. I think he was serious." He looked around the room. "Where's Maddie?" "Bathroom," Natalie said, and stepped away to answer her phone. Ryan went over to the bathroom door and knocked softly. "Everything all right in there? Nervous?" The door creaked open. "I'm not nervous," she said. "I'm just not sure about these clothes." She was wearing a pair of black trousers that seemed to be made entirely of pockets. The matching black jacket also had too many pockets to count. They were all zippered, watertight, and covered with flaps secured by Velcro to prevent snagging on underbrush. I like the boots. She propped one foot up on its heel. But this... She held up a black Kevlar helmet with goggles. She tried it on, and Ryan had to struggle not to laugh. It's very stylish, he said, and couldn't hold back the snicker any longer. There's one for you too, she said. I requested pink for you, but they only come in black. Is that for me? She took his coffee away from him, took a cautious sip, and downed it all in gulps before passing him back the empty mug. Ryan! Natalie shouted. Enough chit-chat! Suit up! Madison moved out of the way, and he saw a neat bundle of clothes sitting on a pair of boots on the bathroom floor. Ryan emerged a moment later, dressed in black and looking equally out of place in the baggy clothes. He joined Madison and Natalie as they were examining the contents of some blue plastic carrying cases sitting on a folding table. Madison was chewing gum, blowing bubbles, and nodding at what Natalie was saying. Ryan marveled at how quickly women seemed to be able to transform from antagonistic enemies to best friends. Just yesterday, they had been facing off and reaching for weapons. Why's this so heavy? Asked Ryan as he bent his knees and bobbed up and down. It's called a camelback, explained Natalie. The reservoir on your back holds enough water for about a day. All you have to do is unfasten this hose and drink. As she showed Ryan the hose, Madison pantomimed with hers in an exaggerated imitation of a flight attendant demonstrating a flotation device. Got it? Asked Natalie. He nodded. Seems simple enough. Good. Now, she sighed, weapons. What's your comfort level with a semi-auto, Ryan? Whoa! I don't want to shoot anybody, said Ryan, horrified. Madison furrowed her brow in disbelief. I do, she said, with a level of determination which startled Ryan. She inserted a magazine in the handle of a 9mm as loudly as she could manage, holstered it, and began blowing a pink bubble. You might not have to use it, assured Natalie. It's just for unforeseen dangers. We know there's a bear at the very least, and could be anything in between here and there. We could take one of your security guys, suggested Ryan hopefully. Natalie leaned closer so only Madison and Ryan could hear. They'd have to be untwisted to go with you. She glanced behind her. There's only one that I trust with that much power, and I'll need him if we have to follow behind you. It's not a perfect solution, but it's the best I can do right now. She straightened up and resumed at a normal volume. Now, Ryan, what's your comfort level with a semi-auto? I had a BB gun once. In that case, let's steer away from the semi-autos. Too complicated. She closed 3 of the cases and pulled 2 others closer. You have a choice of revolvers. We have a .357 Magnum and a .44, which in my opinion is too much gun. She glanced at Danziger, who shrugged, as if he disagreed. Remember, continued Natalie, you have to carry it all day long. What did you get? He asked Madison. 9 mil, and if I see that Vogel guy, he gets it till it's empty. He has a gun too, you know, warned Ryan. She shrugged. I'm really scared. I think I might have peed myself a little. This is a USWA one. It has a folding stock for long shots and 30 rounds per magazine. I can shoot that cockroach all week and reload on Sundays. She blew an impressively large bubble, gathered it back into her mouth with her tongue, and added, It also has a flashlight. When did you become a firearms expert? He said. She shrugged. It's a tool. I like tools. Don't get any ideas, Natalie said. She knows how to use it. You don't. Take the .357. No chambering, no safeties, won't jam. All you have to do is point and pull the trigger. He sighed and picked up the smaller pistol. Good choice, Natalie said, and clapped her hands to get everyone's attention. Her small army had remained behind to see if the machine they had been building would really disappear when it was turned on. "Make some room! Everybody back! Hug the wall!" All the observers stuffed tiny orange foam pieces into their ears and added the extra layer of over-the-ear muffs for what was reported to be the loudest thing they would ever hear. Madison and Ryan approached the machine and turned back to Natalie for final instructions. "Here are your phones. These have the app that controls the Van de Graaff generator. We didn't have time for an automatic hatch closer, so the first button doesn't do anything. Just tap the second one and it goes. At least in theory." They took the phones and stowed them in their shirt pockets. "This is an inventory of the supplies. All the crates are numbered." She handed each of them a small, laminated card. "Let's go over the plan one more time. Remember to keep track of your movements and untwist before each cut. Cutting, while mostly untwisted, might be safe, but we don't know for sure. When you get to the desert world, you can look around, but don't bother digging out of the sand. Just cut again to the water world. You should be watertight and balanced. As soon as you reach the surface, cut again to the jungle. Got it?" They nodded. Natalie hugged Madison, patted Ryan's cheek, and stepped back. They climbed the steel ladder, welded to the side of the cutter, and entered through the hatch at the top. The inside wall had another ladder, and they descended. Ryan reached over, closed the door, and latched it before dropping down the rest of the way. Their Van de Graaff generator was securely fastened to the center of the floor. This one wouldn't fall on its side if the ride got too rough. In the four corners, Natalie had added simple seats with lap belts. To distribute their weight, they sat as far apart as possible and buckled in. Madison removed her earring and shouted into it, "Daniel, I hope you can hear me. We're coming for you. Stay safe until we get there. I love you." She kissed the earring and stuck it to the steel wall next to her seat. Something occurred to her, and she unbuckled her seatbelt. Ryan watched in surprise as she rushed over to his seat and kissed him for a long moment. When she finally pulled her lips away from his, she said, "My name's not really Shires. Thought you should know in case we die." He opened his eyes in alarm, just in time to see her retreat to her seat. As soon as she was buckled in, Madison slapped the wall of the cutter twice with her open palm. She shouted, "Let's make some noise!" and tapped the screen of her phone. The red icon turned green. The motor on the generator jolted to life and spun up to full speed with a high-pitched whine. Madison's hair rose and drifted toward the generator. She pulled herself tighter into the corner. A blue-white spark leapt from the generator's silver ball. It stabbed upward and struck the hatch's locking arm with a bang. With their earplugs in, no one in the workshop heard Madison thumping on the cutter's wall, but as soon as it left, the room became a maelstrom of chaos. In the center of the room now stood a cutter-shaped vacuum as hard as deep space. The door to the alley burst open as 40,000 pounds of pressure unleashed its fury. 30 milliseconds later, every inch of glass from the old shoe store's front windows shattered into tiny pellets. The cars parked on the street in front of the workshop rocked on their tires. The opposing gushes of wind from the front and rear of the workshop slammed together with a deafening crack as loud as a sonic boom. The occupants of the room all staggered as they were tossed forward for a brief second. Loose papers swirled and began a slow dance to the floor. Natalie blew a strand of hair away from her mouth and whispered, "Godspeed."